Imagine this for a moment. You're on the phone with customer support. The voice on the other end is calm, polite, clear, and reassuring. They say things like, "I understand how you feel. Let me help you with that. No worries, we'll fix this together." You hang up feeling oddly comforted. What you don't realize is this: that voice you just heard may have helped reshape how the world speaks English. Not American English, not British English, but global English. And the reason why leads back to one unexpected place: the Philippines. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll realize the Filipino accent didn't just adapt to English, it quietly changed it. For decades, English accents were ranked. British at the top, American next, then everyone else. Accents were judged as neutral, acceptable, or hard to understand. And for a long time, Asian accents were unfairly pushed to the bottom. But something strange began to happen in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Companies noticed something. Customers weren't hanging up. Complaints were going down. Satisfaction scores were rising. And the common factor? Filipino voices. When global companies outsourced customer service, they expected efficiency. What they didn't expect was emotional clarity. Filipino English had something different. Not robotic, not overly formal, not aggressive. It was warm, measured, human. Filipinos spoke English with empathy built into the rhythm. And slowly, without announcements, without headlines, this way of speaking began to spread. Here's the part most people don't know. Filipinos didn't just copy American or British accents. They created something in between. A style of English that is clear but gentle, polite but confident, professional but emotionally aware. This wasn't accidental. Filipinos grew up bilingual or multilingual. Tagalog, Cebuano, Ilocano, Hiligaynon, all mixed with English. So when Filipinos speak English, they instinctively adjust tone, pacing, and word choice. They don't just speak to be understood. They speak to make the other person feel understood. That single difference changed everything. Listen closely to global English today. You'll hear phrases like, "I'll assist you with that. I understand your concern. Let me double check for you. Thank you for your patience." These phrases didn't dominate English decades ago. They spread through call centers, remote work, international teams, and Filipinos were at the center of it. English became softer, less confrontational, more emotionally intelligent. And most people never noticed the shift. But accents aren't just about sound. They're about values. The Filipino accent carries cultural habits: respect, courtesy, indirectness, emotional sensitivity in Filipino culture. How you say something matters as much as what you say. Direct confrontation is often softened. Commands become suggestions. Problems are acknowledged emotionally before being solved. So when Filipinos speak English, they bring that mindset with them. And global businesses realized something important. Customers don't just want answers. They want to feel heard. Here's something fascinating. Linguists noticed that many non-native English speakers, Europeans, Middle Easterners, even some Americans, began adopting Filipino-influenced speech patterns. Softer intonation, polite fillers, emotion-first responses. Not consciously, naturally, because they worked with Filipinos every day. Language adapts to what works, and Filipino English worked. Now, let's talk about the accent itself. Filipino English is often described as neutral, but that's misleading. It's not neutral. It's adaptive. Filipinos can adjust pronunciation depending on who they're speaking to. More American with Americans, more British with Europeans, more simplified with non-native speakers. That flexibility made Filipino speakers global bridges. And once again, global English bent toward the Filipino style. But here's the irony. For years, Filipinos were told, lose your accent, sound more American, sound more Western. Meanwhile, the world was quietly copying Filipino communication habits. The very accent once labeled incorrect became one of the most trusted voices in global business. That's not just linguistic evolution. That's cultural influence. Today, Filipino English is everywhere. In tech support, healthcare hotlines, airline services, remote work teams, online education, virtual assistants. Millions of people hear Filipino accented English every single day, often without realizing it. And over time, they absorb it. That's how language changes. Not through textbooks. Through repetition, through usefulness, through trust. Here's a moment that says everything. Many companies once tried replacing Filipino agents with AI voices, and customers complained. Why? Because the AI sounded efficient, but cold. It lacked warmth. It lacked emotional nuance. It lacked that human rhythm Filipino speakers naturally bring. So companies retrained AI models using Filipino speech patterns. Let that sink in. The Filipino way of speaking English is now teaching machines how to sound human. So what does this tell us? That influence doesn't always come from power. Sometimes it comes from presence. Filipinos didn't dominate English. They didn't force it. They didn't demand recognition. They simply showed up, consistently, kindly, professionally, and the world adjusted. The Filipino accent didn't replace American or British English. It softened them, humanized them, made them more global. It taught the world that English doesn't have to sound intimidating to be effective, that clarity and kindness can coexist, that communication is not about superiority but connection. And the most beautiful part? Most Filipinos don't even know they changed global English. They just spoke the way they always had, with respect, with empathy, with heart. That's how the Filipino accent quietly reshaped the language the world uses every day. Not loudly, not proudly, but unmistakably. And now that you know, you'll never hear global English the same way again.